Yanukovych has already spent more than a year in Moscow's notorious Lefortovo jail. Putin's hinted he could be swapped for a Russian assassin being held in Germany, but officials have said that can only take place once he's been convicted, which is almost certain, as only 1% of defendants in Russia walk free.
Russian authorities alleged he was gathering secret information on orders from the CIA, but authorities have not publicly disclosed any evidence to support those accusations. On Wall Street, the Dow by 15 points. More at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks closed near the all-time highs they set last week. The S&P 500 index edged up 0.2%. The NASDAQ rose 0.5%, and the Dow edged up less than 0.1%. The majority of stocks in the S&P 500 fell. FedEx helped offset the losses with a gain of 15.5%. The package carrier reported results from its latest quarter that easily beat forecast. The Dow was up 15 points today to close at 39,127. The NASDAQ gained 87 to 17,805. The S&P 500 added 8 points to 54.77. New York oil rose 7 cents to $80.90 per barrel. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Staying warm, a low dipping to 76. Tomorrow we're muggy, we're warm. We have a high of 97. There is a 30% chance of afternoon showers. On Friday and into the weekend, typical summer days, hot with highs in the mid-90s. Those afternoon rain chances continue every day. Sunday's heat index could approach 110. On Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, number 1.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Good to have you with us on this Wednesday night. We come to you from our bureau in Chicago, up here for some family business, which does not get in the way of this family business, which is Sports Talk. So we're happy to be here and happy to be able to be on with you. We have to be on with you because practically everybody else is on vacation. Bergie's gone on vacation. Josh is going on vacation. I'll be on vacation next week, all right? And you'll have the pleasure of Matt Smith being called in out of the bullpen, our Mariano Rivera coming in out of the bullpen next week. And JP will be in. John Patrick Barry will be in place of Josh. So it's the, I like to call it the A team and the A-plus team and the, don't want to say A-minus team. It's kind of a negative. Just part of the team. We're going deep on the bench for you to keep bringing you sports talk through the hot days of June and into July. No show on the 4th. Okay, no fireworks from us on the 4th. But every other night during the week, we will be here. Okay, tonight, Ray Tanner live with us at 6:35. Can't wait to have him on. Got a lot of questions for him and want to get his reaction and thoughts to a number of different things. So we'll save that for then when he joins us at 6:35. Appreciate him coming on with us as always. The Texas A&M baseball deal, Schlossnagle officially introduced today at Texas. Had a press conference there. He apologized to the reporter that he snapped at the other night, and he tried to work his way out of what he said the other night, but I don't know that he was successful in doing that. Maybe only to Longhorns' ears did it sound like sweet music. I think most everybody else, including people like me who have no dog in the fight, have no interest in Texas A&M outside of the standpoint that they're part of the SEC, really no interest in Texas, except now they are going to be part of the SEC in a few days. Hard to believe that time is here now that Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC officially. But, he tried to give some details on what went on and his rationale and why. I mean, the biggest thing, I think, when you boil it down, his relationship with the AD at Texas so strong. And it's one guy he said that he trusts, that he believes in. A&M has a new AD, Trev Alpert, and I don't know that, from what I'm just going by what I'm reading, maybe that situation was not going to be a good one. Maybe he didn't feel comfortable with that relationship because he didn't really have one with him. So he's very comfortable with this AD that was with him at TCU and is now at Texas. And so they're very comfortable together. And I guess he saw that for the long term of his career. As he said, he's a human and he has a career and he has to look out for himself and his family and do what's best. But the way this thing was carried out was just pitiful, just pitiful. They actually met so that the AD from Texas, what was that, Chris Delconte, did not want to go on the grounds of Texas A&M, did not want to go into to College Station, do that kind of stuff. Once the Aggies, once they got back home from the World Series, they met at a cemetery. They met at a cemetery, I guess, outside of College Station. And then I guess they went to Schlossnagle's home, which I guess is outside of the city limits or maybe in an area where nobody would notice him. I don't know. I would have thought the media would have had his home staked out. So anyway, they did this thing in a very secretive fashion. And the look of it, I mean, I know college sports, like big business, is big business. And I imagine in the world of big business, I'm talking the Dow Jones, industry top 30 type businesses, the biggest businesses in the world. I'm sure that behind the scenes, they're snaking each other's top executives all the time. Happens all the time, and nobody, maybe in that world, there's some conversation about it and people have some issues with it. Usually, I guess, it's done with a wink and a drink. This is still college athletics, and the look is, I don't know, maybe people don't care about the look anymore. I tell you, we've gotten – I meant to bring this up earlier in the week, and, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not a prude. I'm not offended by things that I see and things that I hear. I can take it with the best of people. But the press conference the Lakers had this week for J.J. Redick, and J.J. Redick, as the new face of the Lakers as their head coach, and his first head coaching job really at any level. He had done some coaching, I think, at the junior high level or something, okay? And in the midst of the press conference, he drops the F-bomb twice, live. And I'm like, I don't care if it was the Lakers, even though, as a Celtics fan, despise the Lakers, and I hope he does a terrible job. That, being put aside, I don't care if it was the Lakers or the Oklahoma City Thunder. My gosh. But you're talking about the Lakers is like they are one of the premier sports franchises in the world. And, I mean, people just nodded at it and accepted it like it's every day. I mean, we've kind of lost all standards, it seems to me. This is just another example. And so here with Texas A&M and Texas in this baseball deal, as I see it, sitting, 1,500 miles outside of it, pretty sneaky move by the AD at Texas. Pretty sneaky move the way, and pretty sneaky move by Schlossnagle as well. And he did not help himself whatsoever with the way he handled that press conference Monday night. He would have been better served just not saying anything and letting things just play out until they did play out. He really painted himself into a deep, deep corner there. And I think, from all indications, from what I've heard from people, he's a wonderful fellow. He's obviously a great baseball coach. He's won everywhere he's been, and he's probably going to tear it up at Texas. But that, and that's just, maybe it was out of character for him, and maybe he just flinched in the moment. He choked. Coming off a ball game, coming off the field, and then, but he had to know, he's no dummy. He had to know the question was going to come up because it was out in the news, and kudos to the people who put that out there that once they fired the coach at Texas and the Texas plane was headed to Omaha, and Schlossnagle's name was being mentioned prominently, you might have rolled your eyes and said, "No, that's not going to happen. No way that would happen." Number one, he's got a great job. Number two, he's got a chance to win the national championship. Number three, he's not going to go to his arch rival. But, yeah, people saw through that, and they nailed it. So kudos to the people who were on top of that out there, because they were Johnny on the spot and getting that information out and being correct. So looking forward to talking to Ray Tanner about a number of different things, including how that went down between Texas and Texas A&M. Outside of that, we've got your phone calls coming up. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you to reach us here on Sports Talk. Josh is back in the studios taking your phone calls. Looking pretty good tonight on the stream there, Josh. Yeah,
Thank you.
Like the purple shirt, and
it's blue.
Looks purple.
It's
okay,
blue.
well, it looks purple on my phone.
On the camera, it looks blue, I'm sure.
Yeah. Looks good. Good to have you back there in the studios. A bunch of recruiting to tell you about. Catch you up on a lot of things in the recruiting world. I'm trying to remember since last night. So much has gone on. I think it was it after the show we got the word that South Carolina lost the commitment from Landon Duckworth, or did we have that during the show last night? I can't remember. It all runs together with me. Landon Duckworth, the Gamecocks' longtime 2026 commitment at quarterback, decommitted last night. And what did the Gamecocks do? I like their reaction. They didn't sit back and just take it. They went out and offered 3 quarterbacks in the 2026 class. Last night, Dowell Loggins got busy and handed out 3 offers. We'll cover all that in recruiting coming up for you a little bit later on tonight. And some other news notes that we will jump on here in just a moment. Again, the phone number, 888-898-2525. We're open for your phone calls right now. Couple lines are available if you want to grab them. And we'll have Ray Tanner coming up at 6:35 tonight. A lot of Major League Baseball taking place on this hot afternoon. And the Atlanta Braves are playing a couple of games with St. Louis because they got rained out last night. And they've already played the first game of the day in St. Louis. And the Braves take a 6-2 win over the Cardinals. So good start for the Braves in this twilight doubleheader. Milwaukee beat Texas 6-5. That one went 10 innings. Kansas City beat Miami 5-1. Houston down Colorado 7-1. I may have a chance, not that it's anything worth, look to be all that excited about, but the Rockies are going to be in Chicago this weekend to play the White Sox. Again, the White Sox are really, really bad this year. As I was told, the tickets are really cheap. So maybe heading to a White Sox Rockies game. Hey, any kind of Major League Baseball game is fine with me. Just to go to a Major League Baseball game, that's just cool. Philadelphia beat Detroit 6-2. Pittsburgh topped Cincinnati 6-1. And Seattle over Tampa Bay 5-2. So busy afternoon in Major League Baseball. You're up to date on the scores as we have them in here. And a couple of other things I want to mention. So as they we'll have a new baseball coach at Texas A&M. He's going to be facing, whoever that is going to be facing rebuilding that roster because Aggie players have hit the transfer portal today. Hayden Schott, the freshman Gavin Grahovic, the standout Jace LaViolette. He, by the way, actually committed to Paul Maneri when Maneri was at LSU. And then I think when Maneri retired, I guess then he went to Texas A&M. The entire Texas A&M staff is going to Texas. So the whole group is moving. Caden Kent is in the transfer portal, John. Max Colfer, James Bell III, Jake Hembry. Speaking of, I should mention here off the top, Clemson got a big-time transfer commitment today. Kendall Rogers, I think, reported it. Maybe somebody else. Oh, actually, the kid himself put it on his Instagram. Big-time player from Purdue as a freshman, first baseman Luke Gaffney, and he had a very very nice numbers this year. I think he hit over 330, and so he's headed to Clemson. Another nice power hitter picked up by the Tigers from the transfer portal, John. And also USC's recruiting coordinator Terry Rooney has put out. Now Terry Rooney is following the lead of Shane Beamer and putting out commitment alerts when the Gamecocks get a commitment, and he put one out this afternoon. I'm assuming it's for a transfer type of player. Haven't seen a name or anything pop up yet, so we're keeping an eye out for that. Maybe we'll have something for you on that before we sign off tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Let's see what else we have for you. Georgia is giving their baseball coach, Wes Johnson, a contract extension that will run through 2030. So they've fallen in love with him after one season, which is okay. I mean, he did have a great year. He recruits the portal very, very strongly, and they've already got a bunch of transfers in the program. But he's locked in through 2030, so that's 6 more seasons. So let's see how he does in year number 2. I always like to kind of wait and see what happens with a coach who gets off to a great start before you tie your hands too much. I've seen a lot of situations where schools find themselves overextended because they get too excited about a 1-year successful season the first time out of the gates with a coach. And then all of a sudden it turns sour and you're burdened with a heavy contract on your end. But Georgia obviously likes this guy, and they've extended him through 2030. Okay? And let's see what else that I want to share with you tonight. I think that's it as far as some of the top stories for you today. So let's go ahead and jump to some phone calls. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Ray Tanner coming up at 6:35. Let's go to Gamecock Larry to get us off to a good start tonight. Gamecock Larry, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, Phil. Have a good time up in Chicago. But this deal with Schlossnagel and Texas This deal was made before Texas fired their coach. This deal was the AD and Schlossnagle of Texas. They got together. The deal was already drawn up, and they knew what was going on. And then when they fired the coach, and they ain't many schools to fire a coach that's been to the College World Series 3 out of 8 years without knowing they was going to get the man they wanted. And I don't know why they done it, but they did. Friends and friends. But that reminds me of Brian Kelly jumping from Cincinnati to Notre Dame back a few years back. I don't know when it was. But I'm telling you, I do not like the Aggies. I do not like the Aggies.
We heard you.
But I just hope the Aggies, when Texas and Slosh come down to A&M next year, I just hope I'm around so I can see. I just hope they stomp them in the ground. So I'll tell you what, grown men acting worse than young kids. That's all I got to say. Love all y'all. Go Gamecocks.
All right, thank you very much. Gamecock Larry making some very good sense tonight and keeping it to the point. We like that. I mean, look, is that just the way of doing business in college athletics? I don't want to be naive Nancy over here. And is that wrong for me using a female name? Maybe I should be naive. What's a male name that starts with an N that goes with naive?
I don't have
Nathan.
any. I don't know.
Naive Nathan.
Yeah, that
Maybe I shouldn't be naive Nathan. I mean, you can't use women's names anymore to emphasize things. I think that's in poor taste. I guess it's in poor taste. Anyway, I don't want to be naive Nathan over here, but it's a cutthroat business. It's a cutthroat business. Recruiting, cut your throats. Grabbing coaches, cut your throats. Loyalty. Where is loyalty, I ask? There's no such thing as loyalty. Now, I mean, again, in this case, there was a relationship between the AD at Texas and the coach at Texas A&M. And maybe that's where the loyalty is. Maybe he's loyal to him. And, boy, I tell you what, it took well, maybe it didn't. I mean, that's why I can't wait to talk to Ray Tanner about this and kind of get his thoughts because, I mean, he's in that position as an AD to see these things happening behind the scenes, and he knows what's going on. He might have had some clue. Maybe, ADs, or they talk to one another, do rumors spread among ADs around the SEC. But here you got a guy who's not even in the SEC yet, about to be in the SEC, and he comes in and he takes a coach not just from the biggest rival of his school, but an SEC rival. And I guess, and we've seen that happen before. We've seen coaches move within the league, and but it's never a pretty thing when that happens. I mean, obviously, one fan base is going to be totally ticked off about it and going to carry a grudge for a long, long time, and the other fan base is as happy as they can be because they feel like they feel like they're more powerful. And of course, I'm sure at Texas, in that state, Texas looks down their nose at Texas A&M and considers Texas A&M to be like their redheaded stepchild. And just look, we just pulled your highly successful baseball coach away from you, and we did it right under your noses, and we did it right as he was playing for the national championship. They want you to believe this. I can't believe this now. I mean, I think Schlossnagle said today in some of his comments that, of course he said he was 100% focused all the way through, 100% focused on winning the national championship at Texas A&M all the way to the last pitch. And, of course, they were in it all the way to the last pitch. But you can't tell me there's people who believe, I've seen other reporting that said that the conversation started going back several series in the regular season, was towards the end of the regular season, but with several series to go in the regular season. I mean, they've been talking about this according to these reports. The AD and Schlossnagle have been talking about this for some time. I mean, obviously it was done well in advance. It's a complicated thing. That's a complicated deal. You just don't. It wasn't like he just got a phone call Monday night after the game was over and said, "Hey, man, you want to come to Texas? Okay, I'll see you in the morning." You got there's the contract. There's a lot of other things that have to be dealt with. All done, I guess. I'm assuming that the A&M administration was in the dark and didn't know this was happening. Is that possible for something like that, something that high profile, to happen with one administration not having a clue? But here's the other thing I want to talk about, and with Ray Tanner coming up. What does this say about where we are with college baseball today? And I think this is a good thing. I mean, college baseball now is blowing up. I mean, it is just all over the country now. It's a shame that the Pac-12, the Pac-10, the Pac-8, whatever the Pac you want to call it, is gone, because that West Coast, I mean, the schools are still there, but that West Coast league representation is no more. And I think, the numbers do not indicate that viewers had any issue with it being an all SEC, all ACC World Series, so that's not a problem. We talk about it being a national thing. Well, apparently being a strong regional thing, not such a big deal, though I guess having some West Coast flavor, a Southern Cal, a UCLA, an Oregon in there, would add a little more of a national appeal to it maybe, but it didn't hurt them, apparently, with the viewership this time around. So I think baseball, college baseball, and now as a result, of course, it's going to cost more. It's going to cost more for the schools. They're going to have to be paying these coaches now more and more, and these assistant coaches more and more, as we saw at South Carolina with the deal Ray Tanner cut with Palmineri and cut with Monty Lee. I mean, that's unprecedented territory at a place like South Carolina. And that still has got Maneri. He's, as Maneri pointed out on the show, I mean, he's not in the upper echelon of the highest paid coaches in the SEC. And that bar just got raised even more with what Schlossnagle is going to get at Texas. What is it, $3 million a year? So baseball is blowing up again. This is good. It had a surge at one time. I think it's surging again, but it's going to be costly for sure for athletic departments to try to keep up. Okay, we're going to hit the break, and when we come back from the break, we'll have USC Athletics Director Ray Tanner on with us. Looking forward to chatting it up with him on many of these topics that we've touched on and more. Stay tuned for that. Be back after this break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto's Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Staying warm, a low dipping to 76. Tomorrow we're muggy, we're warm. We have a high of 97. There is a 30% chance of afternoon showers. On Friday and into the weekend, typical summer days. Hot with highs in the mid-90s. Those afternoon rain chances continue every day. Sunday's heat index could approach 110. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the Supreme Court appears poised to allow emergency abortions in Idaho when a pregnant patient's health is at serious risk as the legal case plays out. That's according to a Bloomberg News report. Bloomberg says a copy of the opinion was briefly posted Wednesday on the court's website. Sean Rowe, a 49-year-old bishop from Western Pennsylvania, has become the youngest person ever elected as leader of the Episcopal Church. Rowe will succeed Bishop Michael Curry, the first African-American to hold that position, when Curry's 9-year term ends on November 1st. The presiding bishop serves as the denomination's chief pastor, president, and CEO. On Wall Street, the Dow by 15 points, the Nasdaq rose 87, the S&P 500 advanced 8 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Summers are so special around the lake. The only thing that can make it more special is finally going ahead and getting your own new boat. There's never been a better time than now. Marine 360 has a great selection of 2024s, but they won't last forever. And here's why. Everything Brandon and Scott have in their inventory is available at or below invoice cost. And not because they're good guys, which they really are. I've known them a long time. And not because there's some key commercial like some guy hawking used cars. I don't do that. That's simply because the manufacturer's rebates from folks like Crest and Sea Hunt, well, they've never been better. So you win, but you need to get moving. As the season goes by, the selection will dwindle. So my suggestion, do your homework. Go online. Look at marine360sc.com. Make an appointment. Go see Brandon and Scott at Marine 360 right on Johnson Marino Road. Look at their showroom. Get a demo on the lake itself. This is the best boating value in years. Marine360sc.com or call them 749-2360. That's 749-2360. Marine 60.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
If you're looking for a change in careers, Day and Zimmerman is offering you to work for a globally respected company in the nuclear industry. Get your start now while training is available. If you or someone you know is interested in a career in the nuclear field, Day and Zimmerman, in cooperation with Midlands Tech, is offering 2 informational sessions. One on the 25th at the Midlands Tech Airport campus, the other on the 27th at the Midlands Tech Fairfield campus. Don't miss out on what could be a tremendous career opportunity. For more info, check out DayZim Open Shop on Facebook. That's DayZim Open Shop on Facebook, or reach out at 888-605-0272 and tell them you heard about this on The Point. That's 888-605-0272. There are great opportunities and training is available. Again, that's 888-605-0272.
Pardon me, ma'am. Are you interested in lowering your energy usage and saving money?
Make it quick.
Did you know that Dominion Energy offers heating and cooling rebates up to $750?
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. And it comes in handy if your system fails and replacement.
Any restrictions?
For starters, your new equipment must be Energy Star qualified.
That's a good thing.
Go to DominionEnergySC.com and click Save Energy.
DominionEnergySC.com it is. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
We are back on Sports Talk, Sports Media Network. Phil Kornblut up in Chicago. Rest of this week for some family business, maybe a little MLB over the weekend. Looking forward to it. Glad you're with us wherever you happen to be. Maybe some of you taking off on vacation, getting ready for the July 4th holiday. We thank you for being with us wherever you're dialed in across the state, watching one of our streams on social media. Get back to your phone calls in a little bit. More notes to touch on, recruiting as well. But right now, pleasure to have with us once again South Carolina Athletics Director Ray Tanner. And, Coach, welcome into Sports Talk. Hope you're doing well. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Phil. Did you say you were in the Windy City?
I am indeed.
Wow, you taking in the Cubs, the White Sox? What are you doing?
Yes, the Sox. Cubs are out of town. Sox play the Rockies this weekend, so maybe going over there on the south side.
Well, good for you.
Yeah,
awesome.
Looking forward to it. We thank you for joining us. Always great having you on. So let me just dive right into things. Give us your take on what happened between Texas A&M, your reaction to everything, how that went down, how Schlossnagle handled that press conference Monday night. Just give us your feeling as you were watching this unfold. I'd love to know what you were really thinking.
Well, it's interesting. It was a dynamic, and I knew the background a little bit with Chris Del Conte when he was athletics director at TCU, and Schlossnagle was the baseball coach there. They had a great relationship and worked well together, and so it wasn't surprising that once he made a decision to terminate his coach at Texas, that Schlossnagle was going to be the guy that he wanted to bring to Austin. So that wasn't surprising, I don't think, to people in the baseball circles. You alluded to the question that Coach Schloss got asked on after the championship game. It's a difficult time. You just lost the game, and you get asked a tough question. You ask hard questions, Phil, sometimes, and probably in hindsight, maybe you should have answered it a little bit differently. But it is what it is, and things happen, and people move on, and Texas A&M will find a new coach, and Coach Schloss will join Chris over in Austin.
Look, you sit in a different seat than the rest of us. You're part of that world. You're part of that business. Those of us not there in that seat, outside of it, we look at that as being kind of dirty pool. Do other ADs, do you look at it as dirty pool, or do you look at it as just the way the business is run today in college athletics, or maybe always has been run?
Well, I don't think it's always been run that way. This is, I guess next week or soon, I'll be entering my 13th year. So I've seen the business change even in the athletic director chair. But since I've been involved in college athletics my entire professional career, things have changed. There was, you start with players. There was never, kids didn't transfer. And if they did, they sat out. And then once they did transfer, there was always, in most cases, some sort of conversation among the leadership, whether it's coaches or ADs. And then when it comes to situations like this, a lot of times I typically, if I'm going to talk to somebody's coach, I'm going to call the athletics director at the other school as a courtesy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that happens, but a lot of times it doesn't happen, Phil. It doesn't happen throughout. There are occasions, but not all the time. And that's just sort of the evolution of the business that, I got to go get a new coach, and you deal with the contract and deal with the circumstances. And I know that there have been some, among my colleagues, and I'm not just speaking from the SEC, but across the country, there's times that, people have angst with each other over decisions that are made, but it's changed. It's not like it was many years ago, certainly.
Yeah. It's not a gentleman's game anymore, is it, among ADs when it comes to going and getting a coach? It's to us, to me, it's not a real good look, but do the people in charge care about the look anymore? It's a matter of going and getting my guy, and over time things will settle down and people will move on.
Well, I think there's something to that. You and I have been around for quite a while, so we've seen it on the other side, and it's just different. And I think that the other way was good. I think it was more collegial, if you will, than maybe mm-hmm. it is today. But it's where we are, and I think that when decisions are made, and you can remember when coaches did go from place to place, a lot of times it was not within the conference. It was from another conference to your conference or vice versa. But that's all gone by the wayside at this point.
So Texas A&M is looking for a coach, and look, they're pissed off. They're liable to break the bank to get whoever they want to get to come to their place. So, you just hired a big name, national championship, Hall of Fame, winningest active coach in college baseball in Paul Mainieri, and you got him with a great contract. But are you checking on him to make sure he's, locked down in Columbia, not, taking any phone calls from over in the Texas area?
Well, he and I did have a conversation today, so I checked on him a little bit. But no, I'm not concerned about that. We have a signature, so everything is good. But yeah, I would guess that Trev Alberts would be trying to to do what he can to make a splash, and I don't know, as we sit here right now, I don't know who that person might be, but Texas A&M certainly can do what they need to do to hire a coach.
Yeah. Have you heard any names that have some legitimacy that you want to throw out there?
No, I haven't. I have heard a couple of names, but I wouldn't throw anybody's name out at this point. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. This is a great league. I mean, we had two teams playing. You mentioned A&M and Tennessee playing, and Tennessee won it all. Congratulations to Coach V and Danny White over Tennessee. But this league's incredible in so many sports, if not all of our sports. So it's challenging, and you want to try to put yourself in the best position to be successful, regardless of the sport.
Is the league ready for Texas and Texas A&M to be together? Because, I mean, you think about, Auburn, Alabama, okay, obviously that's been the heavyweight in the league forever. But this thing, Texas A&M, is it possible that could trump Alabama, Auburn in terms of just pure hatred and intensity between these two institutions?
Well, I think it probably got ratcheted up, but not, with the with the baseball situation. But it's all good. I haven't known Trev very long since he'd gone over to A&M from Nebraska, so he hasn't been in the room a long time. But I've known Chris Del Conte for quite a while. So, two great schools and guys that are trying to win at a high level, both of their institutions. So these things happen. You got to try to go after the best, and Jim Schlossnagle's proven that he's one of the best in building a program as anybody in the country. And there was an existing relationship that they had from years ago, and now it's been revived.
Well, I tell you, the College World Series was great. I sense a major, not necessarily a resurgence, but a surge in college baseball. Tell me if you agree with that. The popularity of college baseball may be ratcheting up several notches, which is a great thing for those of us who love college baseball. Maybe from your standpoint, administration standpoint, it's already more costly for you. It's going to be more costly across the board for schools, as I think, college baseball seems to be taking a major step forward across the board in terms of facilities and television viewership and just national interest. Are you sensing that?
I am, and maybe some other sports as well. Softball has certainly, made some progress over the years as well. But because of the draft, Major League Baseball draft is shorter now. I believe 20 rounds. You've got the NIL world going on in intercollegiate athletics, so that changes the dynamics considerably. Also, when you get right down to it, college baseball players are getting developed at a high rate, and it's evident that if you're really good at this level, not just Paul Skeens from LSU last year, who's already in the big leagues, but others, Wyatt Langford, and guys that were already on big league rosters in a short period of time. You don't have to go into professional baseball right away, which makes the caliber of play at the collegiate level really, really good. The fan interest is good. It's a shorter 56 games. In the big leagues, you play 162. So those 56 have tremendous value. There's a lot of importance on midweek games, and more season tickets are being sold, more viewership, as you mentioned. So, yes, you're spending more, but there's a chance that your revenue is also growing at the same time. But I do agree with you. It's I think it's an all-time high. Tickets were hard to come by in Omaha, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I think the TV numbers are going to be really, really good. Considering it was a regional event for the most part, I mean, I don't consider Texas A&M to be the South, but it was all SEC, all ACC. Some thought that might be a turnoff to the rest of the country, but I don't think it was.
I don't either. And it's different, and certainly there's Big 12 baseball that's good. The West Coast has had some really, really good teams. Even the years that the West Coast had such good teams, if you go back to UCLA, Fullerton, Southern Cal, it's been a long time, but others, they had good programs, but the fan interest wasn't the same as it is in the Southeast. So we've been ahead of them for many years now, and I think that's as high as it's ever been. And then you see 4 ACC, 4 SEC teams make it to the Omaha, and it was a pretty neat setup.
You mentioned ticket sales, popularity. You've got a new coach. Is going to no doubt bring new energy, enthusiasm, excitement, and interest to your program. I mean, I know nothing's happening over there at Founders Park right now, but could you foresee a time here in the near future where the 8,000 plus seats that you have at Founders Park won't be enough? Thoughts of possible expansion, or do you think you're sitting at a good number right now with what you've got?
I like the number. I've always liked it since we opened it. I thought we were in a good spot where we would have 8,000. I think sometimes you get 12 or so. It's too many. But I do like the idea of pressure to have more potential seating around the outfield, or some creativity, if you will, on the right field side, or whatever the case may be, with more seating, and if need be. But 8,000 is a good number. I think it's 82-42 on sellouts, and I think that's good. If we get pushed to 10,000, we'll gladly accommodate that.
Sure. Early thoughts on Paul Maneri and what you're seeing from him at work in a Gamecock uniform?
Well, he's busy. I mean, today when I chatted with him, he was entertaining a prospect as I was on the phone. I understood I needed to be quick because he had a visit, and he's been tirelessly working since he got here. And I called the other night. I think it was Friday night maybe or so. It was 6 or so. I was leaving the office, and I called to check on him, and he said he was still in the office. I said, well, let's go have dinner. So we went and had dinner and talked baseball for 2 hours. And so he's got tremendous energy. He missed the game. You know the story. He had the neck issue. He had some surgery, and it was somewhat extensive, and he just couldn't continue to coach at the time. He really never finished his career, if you will. And this gave him an opportunity, and we've been friends for a long time. And I told the story. I was betting out some candidates, and I knew he had some interest last year at a couple of schools, and certainly I wanted to check his temperature on coming to Columbia, and he was excited about it. So we made some progress in a short period of time, but he's got tremendous energy. He can't wait to get going, and I love what he had to say. He's not interested in a 3-5 year rebuild, or let's go. We had a pretty good team last year. We won 37 games. We got some guys back, and let's try to get in the mix. So, and that's what it's all about. It's a great league, a lot of excitement. We need to be in the midst of it.
I have no doubt that he'll have you right there. Visiting with Ray Tanner, athletics director at South Carolina, for a few more minutes. Let me ask you a couple of questions here on the business side that I don't particularly like to talk about, but it's something that we have to always talk about this day and age with college sports. The settlement that's coming eventually, the House lawsuit and the others, and we've seen the figure of $22 million each school's going to have to fork over as part of that. Where are you guys with that at this point, preparing for that from your office?
Well, we're preparing. You can rest assured it's a daily conversation. We've been working on it for quite a while, expecting that there will be a settlement sometime in the near future. And the number that you threw out, I would expect it to land somewhere between 18 and 22 that will be divided among the student athletes. How that gets divided, we do not know. Is Title IX a component? That we don't have parameters of that yet. And I think Judge Wilkin has made the statement, I believe, that Title IX would be up to somebody else to decide, not her. And so all those things will have to be vetted out and decided. We are talking about a settlement, but we really don't know the parameters. So we know that there's going to be some sort of revenue sharing among the athletes. NIL does not go away. That's still another component, but it will be handled differently going forward than it is today. It will be more marketplace driven and proven with an entity that will have to approve decisions that are made or deals that are made. So, it is a different space, but I'm somewhat confident, and maybe I feel a little bit more reassured that we will know what the rules are as we move forward. Rules might be too strong a word, but I use parameters again. That we'll know what the parameters are. In the current situation with NIL, it's sort of all over the map. A lot of people say it's the wild, wild west. Well, as we move forward with a settlement, the parameters could be somewhat similar across certainly the power schools, if you will, and it's permissive legislation, Phil. Everybody's not going to do $20 million, but I think we'll get to a place that maybe it's more evenly distributed, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Do you foresee some schools having to eliminate some sports to accommodate this in their budget?
I think it's going to be discussed at some places. I don't anticipate that being the case here. I don't anticipate maybe in the Southeastern Conference. But, I know that those conversations occur, that it could be a possibility, but I don't want to see that. I want to maintain, when I say I'm talking about collectively. I want us to all to continue to sponsor the sports that we have. We're 21. We're 12 women and 9 men, and I want us to continue to try to do what we need to do to be competitive in those spaces. But the elimination of sports, I think, is not where we want to go.
Where are you with the selling of sponsorship patches on your uniforms? And, of course, you got your Founders Park, you got your Colonial Life Arena. Williams-Brice, I know selling the name rights to the stadium might be taboo because you've got a family name on there, but the field, are your people working on putting a sponsorship type name on the field?
Potentially, all things are on the table at this point. As you know, revenue generation is paramount in this day and age as we move forward in the NIL world and the financial pressures that we have in intercollegiate athletics. So I met with a group the other day that, they said, "You were the former baseball coach." I said, "Yes, and I like my wall to be green. I didn't want to see advertisements on the wall." and for about 30 seconds, the room got quiet. And I said, but I realized that we probably moved on from that because, you can flip on the TV tonight, Major League Parks, you see advertising everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just it's different than years ago, but I think you're going to see more and more of different types of sponsorship, whether it's on the wall, on the field, the ribbon boards, whatever the case may be. It's revenue generation is a must.
Last thing, and we'll let you go. This is a question of really from my standpoint, because it's a pet peeve of mine. Really, I get the NIL stuff now. It's been several years. I've, personally sucked it up, accepted it. Okay, that's the world we live in. We live in. That's all well and good. And I know it's used as part of recruiting, but it's still, it drives me crazy. It gets under my skin when I see schools on social media with recruits touting, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I saw some visits this past weekend at schools, and they had the kids in front of these expensive cars. Like, you come to our school, you're going to get yourself this fancy car. To me, it kind of smells of exploitation in some way. I don't know if that's the right word or not. I haven't seen that from you guys or Clemson when it comes to your social media people with the players on campus for their visits. They do their pictures and they play up the Gamecock theme and the excitement and all that, but I don't think I've seen any of that kind of stuff from you guys. And my question to you is, do you ask your social media people and your coaches not to go that far with it, or do you care if they were to take them out and put them in a Jaguar and kind of try to show people, hey, you come here, you can get a Jaguar? What is your position on that? Do you have a position on that?
Well, I think I'm probably, maybe, Phil, you and I might be on the same page when it comes to some of that. Recruiting is important. And, whether you're on social media or whether it's on a visit for the weekend, it's important for a young man or young woman to understand exactly what the opportunities may be. But I think there's different ways of sharing that kind of information. What you alluded to, I don't think it has to be done that way. So I would tend to agree with you that we should stay away from that as much as possible. But recruiting is important.
Do you ask your social media people to kind of stay above board with that kind of stuff? Is that anything you've ever talked with them about?
No, I have not specifically had a conversation, sit down and say, we're not going to go this far. We're not crossing this line. But we haven't done it. So I wouldn't anticipate that we would do it in the future, that if we thought maybe it might not be as tasteful as we would like for it to be.
All right. Any big announcements coming out this summer related to, football scheduling you're working on, or anything else people should be looking forward to?
I don't think so, but, June is gone and July is around the corner, and, we'll be into our fall sports before you know it. It's a little breathing time, for football staffs, especially right now, and even on campus. So it's a little bit quieter than normal, but, being on a campus, I've been on a campus since I left high school. So it's exciting. I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position that I get to be around young people and student athletes that are achieving, on the field and in the classroom. And it's still a great place to be. I know there's been a lot of changes and they're challenging, but we adapt and we evolve and we keep moving forward. The popularity of television football is still extremely popular. CFP is coming in a different way. And so there's, of all the things we talk about in college athletics that are different, and a lot of people might not like it, it's still very popular and it's still great to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Listen, I was in that group when all this started happening. I thought, this is going to be the death of it, but it seems to be the opposite. I think maybe gambling has something to do with it. I think people are so into gambling. That's why my theory is that's why TV numbers are up high, because people have got $5 riding on this baseball game or $10 on this basketball game. That's just my personal take on it, but I think you're right. I think the popularity and the support is still there.
It's different. Everything is different than years ago. Where you can remember, we've evolved. It was, you had to hire great coaches. You had to improve your facilities. It was the arms race, and then NIL hit, and it's a different thing. Graphics were a big deal. Not as important right now as they were at one time. So we go through different periods in intercollegiate athletics.
Coach, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Have a great summer. Look forward to seeing you around. Football season will be here. We'll see you at ball games and such, and we appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks, Phil. Enjoy the White Sox and some good pizza.
Looking forward to it. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Ray Tanner, AD at South Carolina. Top of the hour break, and we'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich has gone on trial in Yekaterinburg, Russia, the city where he was arrested on espionage charges while on a reporting trip for the newspaper.
In court, Evan Gershkovich stood in the metal and glass cage that's known as the aquarium. Head shaven and wearing jeans and a check shirt, he flashed an occasional smile. But the US journalist knows that if convicted, the maximum possible sentence is 20 years in a Russian penal colony. After a few minutes, journalists were asked to leave the room. The trial will be behind closed doors. America has accused Russia of hostage diplomacy, of arresting Evan Gershkovich to trade him for a Russian jailed abroad.
BBC correspondent Steve Rosenberg reporting from Moscow. An AP North poll found most Americans plan to watch the presidential debate Thursday.
About 4 in 10 Americans say they'll be watching it live, and more will be watching clips afterward or following commentary around the debate.
Correspondent Amelia Thompson DeVoe, House Speaker Mike Johnson says former President Donald Trump will be way more energetic than President Biden at the debate Thursday.
Which Joe Biden's going to show up? And look, my summary is this. It doesn't matter if he drinks a whole gallon of energy drinks. He's not going to be able to match the acumen and the readiness of Donald Trump. And that's what we expect.
Sean, 49-year-old bishop from Western Pennsylvania, has become the youngest person ever elected as leader of the Episcopal Church. Rowe will succeed Bishop Michael Curry, the first African-American to hold that position, when Curry's 9-year term ends on November 1st. The presiding bishop serves as the denomination's chief pastor, president, and CEO. On Wall Street, the Dow by 15 points. More at townhall.com.
You just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Nowadays, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, or maybe a quarter tank of gas. You know what it will get you, though? For just $20 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data from Pure Talk. You get the same G network as one of the legacy providers, but at half the price with Pure Talk. Plus, dial pound 250 and say keyword spend less to save an additional 50% off your first month. Make the switch today so you can actually afford that burger and fries. Dial pound 250 and say keyword spend less.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange returns to Australia a free man after his U.S. legal battle ends. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange returning home to Australia Wednesday to Cheers. After pleading guilty to obtaining and publishing U.S. military secrets in a deal with the Justice Department, his wife says they're grateful he's free.
Julian wanted me to sincerely thank everyone. He wanted to be here. But you have to understand what he's been through. He needs time. He needs to recuperate.
Assange's lawyer, Jennifer Robinson, says Australia's Prime Minister was the first to get on the phone with him when they landed. I'm Julie Walker.
The deal with the Justice Department concludes a drawn-out legal saga. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Staying warm, a low dipping to 76. Tomorrow we're muggy, we're warm. We have a high of 97. There is a 30% chance of afternoon showers. On Friday and into the weekend, typical summer days, hot with highs in the mid-90s. Those afternoon rain chances continue every day. Sunday's heat index could approach 110. On Cal Moss, On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. I said to, genius.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk Media Network on a Wednesday night. Thanks to Ray Tanner for being with us. We kept him a little extra. Had a lot of stuff to go over. Appreciate him spending the time with us. I thought he had some interesting stuff to say. I mean, basically, I kind of took away from it that when it comes to things that what happened with Texas A&M baseball, I mean, that's just the business. And I guess people sitting in those AD chairs, when it happens, it doesn't, they don't get all upset about it when it happens somewhere else, of course. If it happens under their own watch, maybe they do. But they realize, they realize that ADs are working to find the best coaches available to fit their schools, and sometimes you have to do some things behind the scenes, under the table, not illegal stuff. Guess everything was legal, maybe to some, not necessarily from a professional standpoint. You would look at it in a positive way, but I guess with this day and age of doing business, as Ray mentioned, it's sort of an accepted thing now. So, you snatch somebody away from me, then I'll go snatch somebody away from somebody else, and cause that person to have some agitation, because Texas A&M is going to go grab somebody's coach, right? You figure they're not going to be fortunate enough to find a Palmineri sitting out there. Now, look, if Palmineri had not been hired by South Carolina, well, I bet you Texas A&M or maybe even Texas would have. But obviously, the Texas AD Del Conte had Schlossnagle on the mind all along. That was going to be his guy. But you wonder if Texas A&M may have made a play at Maneri had he not already taken the job at South Carolina. So you wonder who Texas A&M will go after. What young up and coming coach, successful coach, maybe a middle aged coach who's got a little bit of a track record going. Who they will try and go after to try to lure to College Station. I would think it would not be a difficult hire as far as what they can present. They can match up with anybody when it comes to the money. I read where Bluebell Park maybe needs some work, some renovations, whatever the case may be there, but they've got the money to do it and the commitment to do it. I mean, they're committed to being a championship baseball program, though they've never won a national championship. Came close this year. So going to be fun to watch and see what happens there, where that domino falls. And then when they take somebody's coach at this stage of the summer, going to leave somebody else high and dry, and they got to go get somebody. So, on and on it goes. But thanks to Coach Tanner. Interesting stuff. I think he's kind of the same mindset as I am when it comes to parading recruits out on social media and putting them in these settings where you've got, cars and jewelry and, 85-inch televisions, whatever it is you want to give them from an NIL standpoint, and just kind of flaunting that stuff. I think so far South Carolina and Clemson have avoided getting into the flaunting area of that. I hope they continue. I hope they stay classy, San Diego, as the anchorman said. Ron, what was his name? Ron Burgundy. Ron Burgundy. Yeah, yep. Ron Burgundy. Stay classy. I mean, we know it's happening, and that's fine now. It's acceptable, but you don't have to really flaunt it, do you? Do you win over? Maybe I guess when it comes to recruiting and trying to impress teenagers and their families, I mean, it's fair game. Whatever you can do, whatever you can get away with, you do it. We got recruiting coming up in a little bit. I just saw a tweet that a Clemson target is going to be announcing at 7:45 tonight. Max Buchanan, who is an offensive lineman from down in Florida, has Clemson among his final schools, and he's going to be announcing via Rivals at 7:45. So we're going to try to arrange to carry that live here on the program, so stay tuned for that. He's an offensive guard, 6'4", 296, and he took officials to Ole Miss and UCF and Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and Penn State is what I had him down for official visits. So we'll be looking at bringing that to you a little bit later on in the program tonight, as Clemson is trying to, one area they're trying to finish up with from a recruiting standpoint is their offensive line. I'm looking at the hats. He put out a little tweet promoting it, and let's see, his top schools, Penn State, Miami, Florida State, Clemson, UCF, and Ole Miss. So one of those, and we'll bring that to you tonight at around 7:45. More, and we'll get into our full recruiting report coming up in just a little bit. If you want to join in and comment on anything that Ray Tanner had to say or anything else that you might want to talk about tonight, we have time for your phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Lines are open. You can get right into us. hope you're getting out and having a vacation this summer. If you haven't made those plans and you still want to get down to the beach for a getaway, make sure you call Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate. That phone number is 843-237-4246, online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. Let Jimmy set you up along the beautiful Atlantic Ocean, or maybe a little bit inland, Murrells Inlet. Maybe you just want something on land, a condo, a house, something large, something small. He can take what you request, and he can make it happen for you. That phone number again is 843-237-4246, online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. Give Jimmy a call first thing tomorrow. Get your plans set up for a nice getaway vacation down along the coast of South Carolina, the Grand Strand. We got the NBA draft coming up tonight, and the Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. They've got the first pick. Atlanta, Washington, Houston, the Spurs again, Detroit again, Charlotte again. All these are again. These are all teams that I think were in the lottery last year for the most part, and they're back in it again. You know, San Antonio stands to have the biggest night because they've got 2 lottery picks. They have got, as things stand now, you know, trades, crazy trades. A lot of trades happen right around draft time, as you know. They have the 4th pick and they have the 8th pick. And then Memphis at 9. Utah is at number 10. Chicago's 11. And then OKC has the 12th pick. So, yeah, the draft is coming up tonight, and we'll see who's able to do what with what they can work with there. And one thing about the draft, whether it's this draft or the NFL draft, it drives me crazy. Another thing that drives me crazy is these online reporters, and a lot of them work with a particular league. They're breaking the news of the pick before the pick is announced on television, which I would think would drive the leagues. I think that would really tick off the leagues. I would think that they would want to keep the suspense totally to television, to their television broadcasts. They apparently don't have a problem with these various reporters, 3 or 4 minutes before the pick is announced, putting it out on social media. I guess they get it through the agents. If the phone calls are made, the player knows who's getting ready to pick him. Thus, the agent knows, and the agent must tip somebody off. I think I'd put the hammer down if I was one of those leagues. If I was a commissioner, I'm like, look, we want everybody to get this off our broadcasts, and we want to increase the number of people watching our broadcasts. Of course, maybe they consider people watching the social media outlets and the streams as an important part of that. But I think it spoils things, to be honest with you. For those of us who want to watch it on television, I don't want to see the pick 3 or 4 minutes in advance. I want to see it when it happens live on television. But anyway, something else you have to live with in today's world, and you'll start seeing these picks coming out. Let's see, the draft begins at about, is it 8 o'clock tonight? The draft begins, and the picks will start being announced shortly before each one is made. So NBA draft coming up tonight here in just a little bit. And, of course, here in the state, I guess when you think about it, really only P.J. Hall from Clemson. I'm just trying to think if anybody else really has a chance of being selected. I think it's just P.J. has a chance, or has the best chance of anybody from the state of being selected in the NBA draft, which is going to be done over 2 nights. So they got tonight's the first round, tomorrow night's the second round. All right, so we got that going on. Update our poll question of the week, which you can vote on if you have not already. We suggest that you take advantage of. It's always fun to vote in the poll question of the week. It's available on our X, at the top of our X page. It's pinned to the top. It's also on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. And this week's question, asking who is, in your opinion, who was the outstanding college baseball player in South Carolina for the 2024 season. 436 votes are in, and Cole Messina has a comfortable lead. He's got 57.8%. And it's not a bad vote. Consensus All-American, the Johnny Bench Award winner, had a great year. And really, when he hit the SEC tournament, that's when he rose to the occasion, and he put on a show. 16 RBIs at the SEC tournament, and then he continued into the NCAA tournament. So really raised his profile. Cam Canarella, 28.4% of the votes. A worthy vote there as well based on what he did this season offensively and defensively. Sam Antonacci from Coastal Carolina, a little over 13%. And Bryce Martinez, Wofford, getting a little bit more support. He's up to 0.7% of the vote. So if you haven't voted yet, take the time to do so. Have some fun. Next week, we'll throw out the question related to the pitcher of the year, most outstanding pitcher in South Carolina. Thought we would spread it out and not pit pitchers against position players and hitters because they're two different animals. So I thought we'd try to give credence to both. So you still have a chance to vote on that. So make sure you take the opportunity to do so. A couple of other notes before we hit the break. NBC is recreating Al Michaels' voice using AI for their summer Olympic coverage. So that's kind of interesting. I guess they're just going to dump in his voice in different parts of their broadcast without him actually being there saying the words. So whatever. Nothing ever stays the same. However, this is kind of interesting as we talk about the future of television coverage, and we know that streaming is becoming a bigger and bigger deal, and people have been cutting the cord with cable, and sports TV ratings tweeted out today, ESPN cable coverage, the number of households with access to ESPN per Nielsen estimates. So in December of 2022, they estimated that ESPN had 74.2 million subscribers. 1 year later, down 4 million, 70.2 million subscribers. June of this year, right now, this month, down to 67.7 million. So they're down from 74.2 million to 67.7 million. That's a loss of roughly over 6 million subscribers since December of 2022. So, the thing about it, ESPN, they just don't make their money on subscribers. Of course, they've got huge revenue coming in from advertising, so that offsets that. The subscriptions, the money they make off of that's just an additional revenue stream. And at this rate, I mean, look, they're still going to be viable for a long, long time. And, of course, being owned by Disney, which has got, plenty of money in the bank, I don't think we have to worry about ESPN going away anytime soon. But it is interesting that we're seeing a slow decay in their subscription numbers over the last few years. Is that an indication of people strictly cutting the cord and trying to save money by just streaming and picking up their stations that way? Or are people being turned off by ESPN programming? They don't like the host. They don't like what they hear from the host. They don't like what they talk about or how they talk about it. They don't like some of the games that they televise. Maybe that's part of it as well. People have been turned off by some things that ESPN has done over here in recent years, and some of the people they've promoted as their top hosts might turn off some people and push them to not subscribe to that channel. All right, we're going to run to the break on Sports Talk and come back with the recruiting news for tonight. And then we will be getting ready for this announcement by Max Buchanan, Clemson target, coming up at 7:45. We'll bring that to you. Hopefully it won't have a long lead into his announcement, but you know how these things go with these recruiting networks. I'd like to give you the kids' life history before they get to the announcement, so be aware of that, and we'll be back. We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or on the water and reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30 plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership application required.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5 to 9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
The Sport Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, let's give you the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk. It is brought to you by the best catering business in the business, and that would be Seawell's. Let Seawell's help make your event a memorable experience. They'll come to your location and handle the setup and the execution and the cleanup. It could be a wedding reception, a birthday party, a corporate outing, an awards banquet, maybe a business luncheon. All of that Seawell's can handle at your place, or they'll host it at their location right on Rosewood Drive across from the State Fairgrounds. Beautiful, beautiful facility that they have. For more information, give them a call, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. And tomorrow, the daily luncheon buffet will feature what?
Honey barbecue and hot chicken wings, fried pork chops, and some meatloaf.
Meatloaf?
Yeah, meatloaf.
Mom! The
Mom,
meatloaf!
the meatloaf's ready. Come on. What?
Not the meatloaf is ready. It's, Mom! The meatloaf!
Okay. What's that from? Because I have no clue.
That's from Wedding Crashers.
Okay. All right.
Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell with that.
I haven't seen that one. I love Will Ferrell movies, but I've never seen that movie. So.
Oh, that's worth renting or finding it, streaming it somewhere. Oh yeah, very much worth watching. Funny movie. Okay, recruiting-wise tonight to this point, as I mentioned, Max Buchanan of Clemson Target's going to be announcing at 7:45. Haven't really seen anybody project. Maybe I've missed it. Haven't seen a projection for him one way or another. This is a guy that Clemson has been going hard after. Hardy Watts is another one on the offensive line that Clemson has been going hard after as they tried to finish up their offensive line recruiting. 7:45, we'll bring that to you, so stay tuned for that. Meantime, defensive end Donovan Darden, 6'4", 215 of Havelock, North Carolina, wrapped up his official visits last weekend at South Carolina. Prior to seeing the Gamecocks, he went to NC State, Illinois, and Pitt. Also visited USC for the spring game in April. So he's come away from these visits very impressed with South Carolina, and he likes the coaches. They see him as a hybrid type guy. If he puts on some weight, he could be an edge rusher type, or he could drop back in coverage and play kind of an outside linebacker position for them. So he likes them, and they like him, but he's not done making his decision. Obviously, he's looking at getting something done by end of July, maybe right before August, maybe early to mid-July, somewhere next month, but before August. And it's South Carolina and NC State and Illinois are the ones that he is focused on at this point. He took visits to all of those. He also took a visit to Pitt, but he named South Carolina, NC State, Illinois as his top one. So one to keep an eye on from Havelock, where, of course, South Carolina had Pharaoh Cooper came out of Havelock, and they almost had Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes, is he still in the NFL? If not, he had a nice NFL career as a defensive back, but he visited South Carolina, had to go to junior college first, I believe. I remember that recruiting. Something came up, and they couldn't get him into school or something like that. And I think he ended up going, I want to say he went to Florida, but don't hold me to that. May have gone to a couple of places. But he also came from Havelock, as I recall. All right, so last night, South Carolina lost the commitment of 26 quarterback Landon Duckworth of Jackson, Alabama. He decommitted from the Gamecocks after committing August the 5th of last year, a few days after visiting for the late July recruiting event. TCU, Vanderbilt, and UCF were the other top schools with him at the time of his commitment. So what happened last night with Dowell Loggins? He handed out 3 offers to other 2026 quarterbacks. Noah Grubbs, 6'4", 188, from Lake Mary, Florida, who's already committed to Notre Dame. Darion Coleman, 6'1", 165, Orlando. And Michael Clayton, 6'4", 200, Sanford, Florida. Last season, Grubbs passed for 3,670 yards, 49 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, completed 60, make that 59%. Coleman passed for 2,236, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 63% completion. And Clayton passed for 1,902 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, completing 54%. Those stats compiled by Max Preps. So we'll see what the Gamecocks can do there. USC target running back Jeffrey Overton, Woodbridge, Virginia, is going to announce on Friday South Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, Virginia Tech, the finalists. USC target safety Laganza Hayward, Lyons, Georgia, has set July 27th for his announcement. He made officials to USC, Georgia, Florida, and Tennessee. One-time USC target cornerback Brandon Finney, Owings Mills, Maryland, committed to Oregon. And let's see here. Clemson target, 2026 quarterback Tate Reynolds of Queen Creek, Arizona, announced Monday night, we missed this last night, that he's decommitted for baseball at Arizona. He camped at Clemson earlier this month and was one of the 2 2026 quarterbacks offered by Garrett Riley. Last season, he passed for about 1,800 yards and 11 touchdowns. A little bit more to come. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's the forecast. Staying warm, a low dipping to 76. Tomorrow we're muggy, we're warm. We have a high of 97. There is a 30% chance of afternoon showers. On Friday and into the weekend, typical summer days, hot with highs in the mid-90s. Those afternoon rain chances continue every day. Sunday's heat index could approach 110. On Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Breathe fresh life into your home with Lake Murray Soft Wash. Our team specializes in power washing, soft washing, and restoration. From roof cleaning to wood and concrete wash downs, we've got you covered. For top-notch, affordable service you can trust, call now, 528-1996, or log on to LakeMurraySoftWash.com to make an appointment. We're not just professionals, we're your neighbors. Whether residential or commercial, Lake Murray Soft Wash sets the standard in cleaning. Embrace the sparkling difference today.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. A new poll finds most U.S. adults plan to watch or listen to some element of Thursday's presidential debate. And many think the stakes are high for both President Biden and former President Trump. The poll by the Associated Press Nork Center for Public Affairs Research finds the Democratic incumbent and the presumptive Republican nominee remain broadly unpopular as they prepare to spar for the first time since 2020. George Latimer's decisive victory over Congressman Jamal Bowman in suburban New York dealt the left-wing so-called squad its first electoral defeat this cycle. It's now raising concerns about how other incumbents might fare in the coming months and whether the so-called Progressive Party's recent ascension in Washington is coming to an end. On Wall Street, they're up by 15 points. More details at srnnews.com.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is courteous and professional. Plus, they did a great job needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of gun ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
When you've got the gem of the Midlands, Lake Murray, at your disposal, who can blame you for wanting to hit that water now? Marine 360 has been your local home for the nicest crest and sea hunt boats since 2007. Brandon, Scott, and their team, well, they offer expert, incredible customer service, and a tremendous selection of new and pre-owned boats. Crest is the industry standard. They've been building boats since 1956, the oldest and one of the most respected pontoon builders anywhere. Sea Hunt is built right here in Columbia, the #1 selling center console in its class for 19 straight years. Look, Marine 360 is on the lake. It's a great place when you need your boat serviced. They're authorized service experts for Yamaha, Mercury, and Suzuki. I know Brandon and Scott. These are good guys. They're local, and they'll be there from start to finish. They can get you into the best boat that fits your dreams and your budget. Take a look online, marine360sc. Or better yet, give them a call, 749-2360. Go visit the showroom, see their awesome selection, hit the water for a demonstration. If you belong on the water, you belong in a Marine 360 boat.
New hits, new seats, no hit story, and you just can't fake that, so let's change that. Girl, let's go put some miles on it. Back of the Chevy with the engine running. Just you.
All right, just a couple of more recruiting notes to pass along to you here. We're back on Sports Talk on this Wednesday night. Appreciate you being with us. Hope you're having a great day. And wrapping up the recruiting notes that we have for you. Where was I? And stay tuned. We have the announcement coming up of a Clemson target, Max Buchanan, at 7:45 or so. Stay tuned for that. So we talked about Tate Reynolds. He was a baseball commit to Arizona State, giving that up. Clemson going hard after him for the 2026 class. Clemson's in the top 7 with 2026 offensive lineman Maxwell Riley of Avon, Ohio. Also on the list are Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida State, Ohio State, Missouri, Michigan State. Purdue, this is baseball. Purdue transfer freshman first baseman Luke Gaffney is transferring to Clemson. He was a freshman All-American this season. He's a big cat. He's 6'2", 215. He's out of Danville, Kentucky. And he is coming from Purdue, where he had a very good season this season. He had, let's see here, he had batting average of .349, 13 home runs, 65 RBIs. He also walked 29 times, struck out 34 times. So he's a guy that's going to bring some power to the Clemson offense and play first base, big, tall first baseman over there. You like those. So Clemson continues to do well. And he only made one error last season in 431 putouts and 26 other chances and one error. So a very good fielding first baseman the Tigers are picking up there. He also mentioned earlier that South Carolina apparently has gotten another commitment in baseball, probably a transfer type, I would imagine. Terry Rooney, their new recruiting coordinator, he's into the welcome home tweets or posts when he gets a commitment. So he's put that out, and we'll wait and see who that happens to be for. Citadel transfer outfielder Wells Sykes is headed to Coastal Carolina. Hit .333, 3 home runs, and 16 RBIs. And also left-handed pitcher Dawson Newman is transferring to Coastal Carolina from Longwood, citing a change in the coaches there. So he's headed to Coastal Carolina. Basketball, women's basketball recruiting, 6'1", Agot Makir. Don't hold me to the pronunciation of A-G-O-T, Agot Makir, of Ontario. Included South Carolina in her top 12. The others are Michigan State, Kentucky, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, UCLA, UConn, Michigan, Louisville, Vanderbilt, Duke, and North Carolina. So still a ways to go, but South Carolina there in the top 12 with her. There you go with recruiting for now, but stay tuned. We're going to hit a break here shortly, and when we come back from that break in a little bit, we'll take you live to the announcement by Max Buchanan. Just seeing this NBA note, and South Carolina native, I believe this is the same Nick Claxton, who's from Greenville, who went to Georgia. He's in the NBA with the Nets. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Claxton intends to sign a 4-year, $100 million deal to return to the Nets. So cashing in quite large for him. So that's that's huge money for a guy that is terrific rebounder and shot blocker. Not much of an offensive threat, but obviously the Nets think that he's an important cog for them in trying to become a playoff team. All right, so wanted to play this for you. Jim Schlossnagle today at his press conference at the University of Texas after leaving Texas A&M. And let's go to the question and the answer. I guess in the minds of those who were there, this is sort of like the key question and key answer for these people at the press conference about why leaving Texas A&M and going to Texas and kind of breaking the hearts of the Aggies after indicating that he had no interest in going anywhere else. Here's what that sounded like, question and answer.
Yeah, Coach Schlossnagle, Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com.
Welcome.
Thank you. Coach, on Monday night, you said that you went to Texas A&M with the idea of it being a last job, and then you said that your mind hadn't changed beyond that. So, number one, what changed? And then number two, what would you say to those Texas A&M people that supported you that feels like that you intentionally misled them?
Well, I didn't intentionally mislead them. And that's a very fair question for you to ask because that is what I said. In that moment, that's exactly how I felt. At 50 years old, you got to understand, and Chris would probably back me up on this, I love TCU. My children grew up there, Fort Worth. I was there 18 years, and it had to be a very unique situation for me to leave that at 50 years old. I love Coach Garrido, but I hope I get to coach here for a long time, but I don't really have any plans on coaching to 75, 78 years old. So I made that choice because it aligned both personally and professionally with what I had going on at the time. And I loved it. And I dove in with every single ounce of me to help A&M have the very best baseball program it can possibly have. And that investment lasted through the last pitch of the national championship game. It never wavered, not 1 second. I don't care what anybody says. As Chris likes to say, we have jobs and try to run a business on other people's passion. And if I had left Texas A&M for some other school in a different part of the country, the interesting text messages and messages that I got yesterday probably wouldn't have happened. But I get it. You can't ask for your fan base to support you and be passionate like the 12th man always has been, but really was this year. Our crowds were awesome. Awesome, every single game. And so you can't ask for that like I did and our staff did, and then expect everybody to be okay with a coach leaving for its rival school. And I get it, and I get it. All I can say is I have a career too. I have a personal life as well, that I have goals, and I just simply felt like no negative at A&M, just the positives of the alignment and, frankly, my relationship with Chris, that I knew there wasn't anybody at Texas A&M that I couldn't trust. I just know that I can trust Chris. I just know that. And as hard as that decision was, I could not walk away from it.
All right, Jim Schlossnagel from the press conference at Texas today. I think, again, had he handled Monday night better, and had he taken the time to tell his team, he never told his team, had opportunity to, rode back with him on the plane. I think he rode back with him on the bus from the airport. Had he done something like that, he would have avoided all this criticism. It still would have stung from an A&M standpoint, but I think people might have been a little more understanding. Okay, we'll be back. Going to get to that Buchanan announcement coming up.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your case or the job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at seeducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
George Bryant for Tsunami Bar Sports, our inventor, David Abernathy, has always said Tsunami Bar technology allows us to take the training to the grass. Now I know through my sport of golf, natural agility can be converted to athletic ability. And why is this, Tsunami Robbie?
Transferring the training to the grass. This may be the most undervalued characteristic of the Tsunami flexible bar technology. The Tsunami bar action loads and unloads at the concentric and eccentric transition points. This is what we call reversal forces, and the Tsunami bar is the only bar and training device that I know of that can train these reversal forces adequately at speed.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
Hey, Sergeant Barrow, while to break the spell of aging. Celebrity skin, is this your gender? Is that war you're waging?
Okay, going to join that Max Buchanan announcement in just a moment or two once they get rolling. One more recruiting note. Clemson target, Samari Reed, wide receiver out of Broward, Florida. One of the two wide receivers they're going after right now, along with Cortez Mills, also out of Florida. So Samari Reed has set his commitment announcement date for July 3rd. So early next week, Samari Reed going to do something. And also David Sanders, of course, he was the subject of a lot of conversation by South Carolina and Clemson people early on in his recruiting. I'm not so sure that is still a hot item for either one of those. He took an official visit to South Carolina so early back in April. And I think the Gamecocks were just rolling the dice there to see if maybe they could catch a big fish real early. But he was going to go through the process and do all his official visits. And he took one to Clemson. But the Tigers seem to have faded here just a little bit, maybe a good bit with him. It appears that it's Ohio State, Georgia, and Tennessee. His father spoke with Letterman Row, which is a Ohio State product, and he talked about the official visit they had to Ohio State and how good that was. This is the dad talking, just an amazing visit, and apparently from that conversation with him, this website writes it's Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee for Sanders at this point. So, player that Clemson and South Carolina put a lot of effort into early on in the recruiting process appears to be their chances for him appear to be fading at this point. So, waiting to connect on this Max Buchanan announcement, which should be getting underway here momentarily. And as soon as Josh gives me the word on that, we will go to it.
Yeah, so he's live. The issue is right now he's doing an interview with one of the Rivals.com reporters. So they're
Well, let's go ahead and bring that up.
Sounds good, yeah.
That's part of what we're going to bring up. Max Buchanan, offensive guard, Sanford, Florida. Let's listen in as they lead up to his announcement. Clemson, Miami, Florida State, Penn State, Central Florida, Ole Miss. Let's see what he does.
You see all the coaches' houses and all the famous people. When I was at FSU, we played laser tag in the indoor, which was fun. I was cooking on that. I was doing good. When I went to Penn State, we did fly fishing, which was a first for me. I've never been fly fishing before, but it's always been something I wanted to do, and I'm glad I did it. It was definitely an experience that I loved a lot. We went on Lake Day, and I was tubing with all the guys when I was at Clemson. That was awesome. When I was at UCF, I've been there before, but Universal, it's always good to get back to. It's a fun time. And then Ole Miss, it was double-decker week. There was nothing but things to do.
Yeah, we'll keep some of those private for the audience here. But a lot of people are tuned in. They probably want to see where you're going instead of me rambling. So let's give you the floor. Max Buchanan, Rivals 250 offensive lineman, dozens of offers, top 6. Floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Where are you going? Thank you all a lot. So, I want to shout out my family and all of the coaches that have been recruiting me in this process. There's a bunch of families that I love and all the coaches that have been helping me to this. Shout out to my dad, my mom, my step-parents, the Freeman family, especially all the coaches from when I was a youth all the way up to now. And for the next 4 years, I'm gonna go be a Cane.
All right, it's Miami for Max Buchanan. All right, so Clemson missing on that offensive line target. That's kind of been a sticking point for the Tigers in recruiting in recent years, and one of the things that I think why Dabo Swinney decided to make the change with the offensive line coach, bringing in Matt Luke to take over that job was the hope that he could improve in that area as far as getting better offensive linemen. And they missed on this one. The Tigers, in their 2025 class to this point, as far as offensive linemen are concerned, they do have 3. Easton Ware, 6'5", 280, Lynchburg, Virginia. Braden Jacobs, very heavily recruited, 6'7", 310 out of Buford, Georgia, offensive tackle, and Rowan Byrne, offensive tackle, 6'5", 295 out of New Rochelle, New York. So they've hit on three, and I think they were all pretty heavily recruited guys. So you can't worry. You got to celebrate the ones you get, not worry about the ones you don't get. They missed on the big lineman they were recruiting, Mario Nash, in Mississippi, but he committed to Mississippi State. Understandable. Buchanan commits to Miami. He's a Florida kid, Sanford, Florida. He commits to Miami. So you can see the connection there. But he was in for that official visit weekend for Clemson, first weekend of this month. And, Tigers, he was also in for a Clemson camp last summer, was in for a game in November. So he'd had a great deal of interaction with Clemson through the recruiting process, but ends up going with Miami in this particular case. So let's see what else we have here for Clemson as far as their offensive linemen are concerned that they are still recruiting. I mentioned David Sanders. Does not look like they're going to get him. Hardy Watts, 6'6", 285. They remain very much in the mix there. It's them, Michigan, and Wisconsin. He's announcing on July 1st. So that's coming up pretty quickly. And he would certainly, I think Clemson's got an excellent shot with him. From talking with him, interacting with him from the standpoint of conversations, being willing to talk to us, that's always a good sign. He is coming off the official visit to Michigan last weekend, and Wisconsin was the 7th. Clemson was the first weekend of the month. So, but I do think Clemson has a real good opportunity there. And if they were to get him, that would probably close it out. They had some interest in a defensive lineman who they like as an offensive lineman, Nick Moore, 6'5", 290 out of Dandridge, Tennessee. They have not offered him. So I guess he's still kind of on that back burner. And that is it. As far as offered or interested offensive linemen the Tigers have right now in the 2025 class. So I guess it's kind of they're waiting on Hardy Watts to make his decision, and that could be the one that they take and call it a day with 4 offensive linemen in the class. Looks like Clemson's going to sign somewhere between 18 and 20 in this class, so starting to fill up there just a little bit. But Max Buchanan heads to Miami to play for the Hurricanes, so a good pickup for them. All right. See what else we got for you here. John Blau from the Post and Courier, who covers Clemson, cited a story from Bookies.com. Bookies.com added up the miles that ACC football teams will travel this season. Well, the ACC did Clemson a bit of a favor because Clemson's going to travel the fewest miles, 2,471. On the other end of the spectrum, University of California, welcome to the ACC. We're going to punish you. California in football will travel 20,660 miles to play their football schedule. So Cal at 20,660. Stanford will travel over 14,000 miles. Florida State will top 13,000. Georgia Tech will be just under 13,000. Miami will be 11.5. SMU will be over 11,000. And Syracuse will be over 11,000. They also break it down by time zones. Cal will be in 26 different time zones as part of their travel. 26 different time zones. Stanford 16, Florida State 14. Clemson down at the bottom, 2,471 miles. The average trip for Clemson will be 400 and just under 500 miles, 494 miles, and they're going to be only in the Eastern time zone. Is that right? They don't travel out of the Eastern time zone? That's good. Well, let me think about it. They go to Atlanta. They go down to Florida State. I'm just going off the top of my head here. I could bring up the schedule. But I guess everything the Tigers are going to be doing is going to be in the Eastern time zone. So was that a way of trying? They didn't appease Florida State. Florida State's got to do a lot of traveling. They kind of appeased Clemson, I guess, this time around by not giving the Tigers any West Coast trips. So certainly worked out well for them from that standpoint. What else we got here? I saw this piece of video is kind of interesting. A guy named Kyle Berkshire. This is from an X page called Tour Pro. Kyle Berkshire set the world record for the longest drive ever. The longest drive ever. Looks like this was done somewhere. Was this done over in Scotland or England or something? Because it looks chilly. It doesn't look like it's summertime. The world's longest drive ever, 578 yards. 578 yards. I mean, he would drive almost every par 5 he would ever come up against at 578 yards. Imagine that. That's incredible. He set the world record, longest drive ever, 578 yards. Did it last year, apparently. Just seeing that video. So that was pretty cool. I saw another piece of video. There is a female basketball player in China by the name of Zhang Ziyu, and she is 7'3". And they showed video of her, and, I mean, she just stands and turns and faces the basket and shoots little 2-foot shots, like right under the basket. You cannot stop her. And I'm wondering, is she going to be on the Chinese Olympic team? Looks like she's playing for a Chinese national team of some type in this video. And they just tossed the ball into her. I mean, she would tower over like Aaliyah Boston, believe it or not, at 7'3". So as we look ahead to the Olympics, I got to believe that this young lady is going to be on the Chinese national team. She might be a problem. Now, I don't know how well she runs up and down the court. Doesn't look like she runs the floor really well. So you let them get down and set their offense, they're going to be a problem because they're just going to toss it into her, and she's just going to turn and shoot over everybody. Okay, that is going to do it for tonight from Chicago. Thanks to Ray Tanner for being with us tonight. Enjoyed our conversation with him. If you missed it, we'll have it up on our website later on tonight, SportsTalkSC.com. And tomorrow night's a Thursday. That means Mike Morgan on the move. He'll be with us, get his thoughts. I'm sure he's got some spicy things to say about what went down with Jim Schlossnagle and Texas A&M and Texas and what might be happening out at Texas A&M and other thoughts about things in the sports world that Mike will want to share with us. We appreciate you joining us tonight wherever you've dialed in. Don't forget, you can always go back and catch Sports Talk in archive form on YouTube and also on our X page, and also elements of the show up on Spotify and other podcast areas. Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.